Do you think there should be any rules changes for the safety of the quarterback?
Well, it might be a good idea to put dresses on all of them. That might help a little bit. I got called last week for a late hit on Brian Sipe, and in my opinion, it wasn't a late hit.
And welcome to the brand spanking new, yeah, this is the first one, Steelers in Hoboken Weekly Podcast. How's it going? I'm your host, Ray Powers. And if you don't know me as a lunatic, you probably don't know me. But that's okay, that'll change. This is brand spanking new, as I mentioned. We've been talking about doing a podcast for, 5, 6, 7 years now. And we're finally getting around to it, just like everything else. All of these great ideas that we're sitting on. And, we'll get to that one. That's a great idea. Who wants to head that one up? Who has time? And that's usually where it just kind of goes into that bin of, yeah, let's do this, the to-do bin. But we finally reached in and grabbed this because we thought, hey, this is a great idea, Email is awesome, but what would be better than getting an email right to your phone? Having me talk to you while you get on the train in the morning, and that's one less thing to have to look at. I don't want you getting hit by a car crossing the street getting on the train, so that's why I'm doing this. So consider it, my gift to you guys for the preseason all the way through football season and into the future. So, a lot to talk about. Steeler football is back, thank God. Hallelujah. What an off season. I'll get to the playoffs and everything else, but I was at the playoff game. I was, and we don't want to talk about that too much. Let's not dwell on that, but you know what? That's what we're here for. And we didn't really wrap up last season any more than just thanks for coming out and supporting us, and we'll see you again in August. My God. Unbelievable. I don't know if I'm allowed at any more Steeler games, any live games. I was told I was banned from going to another game in person this year because I was 0 for 3 last year. I have a lot of opportunities to go to games, but, presiding over Steelers in Hoboken, as I do, this is my 8th year doing this, and proud to be doing it, proud to support, proud to serve. And, normally I'm in Hoboken holding down the fort watching the games with you guys, but last year I had a chance to go to the home game versus Tampa Bay. We're not going to say anything more about that, but the Steelers lost that game. Gave it away, okay? Next time I had a chance to go, the Jets, okay? In New Jersey, by the way, not New York. I think everybody who is listening to this probably knows my whole gripe with the New Jersey Giants, the New Jersey Jets. Let's just show shots of New York, and then, why don't you show shots of that rusting Hulk out there? That big Xanadu thing. That's New Jersey. That's all right. They're fixing up that rusting Hulk. And maybe they'll show more of that on TV now. Fat chance. Anyway, I had a chance to go to the Jet game, and why not? It's in our backyard. We always go. We fill the place up. Jets just spanked the Steelers. But at least the Steelers didn't give that game away. I didn't feel quite as bad because, sometimes you just get your ass kicked, and it happens. So, all right, 0 for 2. I'll give it another shot. Steelers make the playoffs for the first time in, 4 years, right? Or 3 years, I think, to that point. And they're hosting the Ravens. They're red hot, and they come out flat. And, of course, the officials, big shock. The officials are terrible, and they miss pass interference downfield. I mean, that's all right. A Steeler defender looks at a wide receiver, got to throw a flag. Steeler receiver gets mugged. No, don't worry about it. Nothing happens. Anyway, long story short, I'm 0 for 3. Okay? I get a text before I even get home, before I get to my hotel room. You're barred from going to any games in 2015. Stay home. You know what? If it gets the Steelers to the Super Bowl, I guess it's a small sacrifice to make, right? I'll do that for us. Hey, we'll be in Hoboken. It's actually, speaking of Hoboken, this is the club's, 16th year in existence. Do you believe that? 16 years since Steelers in Hoboken started. And of course, for Texas, Arizona, this is our 12th year there. It's hard to believe it's been that long already. 12 years since I first walked in the door. When I first got to Hoboken, and when I first got to learn about Steelers in Hoboken, I was still told it was called the Black and Gold Brigade Club or whatever it was. And I guess it must have made the transition somewhere. I'm not really sure, but maybe it was those, two clubs that kind of merged into one. Does it really matter? It doesn't, because it's just, hey, this is where we go to watch the games. All right? So somewhere along the line, in 2004, Texas, Arizona, in Hoboken, the biggest bar in Hoboken, the best bar in Hoboken by far, and the location, how do you beat it? You get off the train, boom, it's right there. Corner of Hudson and River. How do you beat that? They opened their doors up, and we promised them, 40, 50 people or something like that? Capacity was 200 before renovations. A week later, it's full. And it's pretty much been full ever since. And the numbers just keep growing. And, of course, all the people that come in from Western Pennsylvania, people from all over the U.S. now, they're traveling into the New York area. Did you hear that, Jets and Giants? I said New York area, okay? You can call yourself the New York area. No, I'm not going to go into that. You come into New York, you're like, oh, I got to watch the Steeler game. Wait a second. Hold on. Google it. Boom. Steelers in Hoboken comes up. And, doors are always open. Love meeting new people. It's great. You meet Steeler fans from all over the world. And we've had them literally from all over the world. Scotland, England, France, Australia, Mexico. It's just one of those things that just unites you. And it's so cool. But we just want to thank Steelers in Hoboken, or I should say we should thank Texas, Arizona. Yeah, the show is raw, and that's how it's going to be. Unfiltered. That's the way you like it, isn't it? You don't want a glib recording of something. No. That's why, I've got notes. I wasn't going to write a whole show out for you guys. It's like, what? It's the preseason. Just let it flow. But thank you to Texas, Arizona, the establishment and the proprietorship and the management for opening their doors one more season. And it's hard to believe this is year 12 at Texas, Arizona. That's going to be great, though. Great stuff. So this week, it's a special week for the Steelers, of course. We've got not only the extra week of preseason playing in the Hall of Fame game against the Vikings this weekend, but of course, the bigger news in Canton, Jerome Bettis finally gets into the Hall of Fame. It's about time, guys. I mean, seriously, how long did you make Dick LeBeau wait? I mean, not that he played as a Steeler, but we were just talking about this yesterday. LeBeau as a player, wasn't he the best of the four guys back there, the cornerbacks and the safeties? And he was the last one inducted into the Hall of Fame. And, the Steeler gig as a coach just made Canton look stupid for keeping him out that long. It's like, oh, yeah, we forgot the most important one. Didn't LeBeau retire as, the third all-time in interceptions? It doesn't matter. Let's just go and induct another quarterback who was marginal, and we don't have to think about it. But Jerome Bettis finally gets his due. This was his fourth or fifth year of eligibility. And all right, the first year you give it a pass. It was a rich class, and you say, all right, next year, you don't mind sitting a year. But then 2013 comes along, 2014 passes by, and he's still not in. Well, what do you have to do to get into the Hall of Fame? Bettis finished, what was he, fifth or sixth all-time on the rushing list for yards? And yet you get the stat people who said, but his yards per carry. His yards per carry were low because you gave him the ball first and goal on the 1 yard line. I mean, you only get credit for 1 yard, but is that a big yard? I think so. Or do you need to see the picture again of him bowling over Brian Urlacher, who was at the time still not only a viable player, but he was an all-pro. I mean, this was, their beast linebacker. This was their next Dick Butkus. And Jerome Bettis just bowled over him like he was like a paper cup blowing onto the field. And, all the knocks on Bettis, I don't get it. What are you guys looking at? Are you insane? I mean, what do you guys want? He's a big back, the only one, I think, the only big back on that top 10 list. And, if you're so numbers driven, and this is why I hate stats so much, because people just live and die by stats. But if you're going to go by stats, what more does the guy have to do? Why is he waiting 4 years to get into the Hall of Fame? Is it just that whole Steeler mentality again? Too many Steelers in the Hall of Fame? Well, tough. Then take Lambert's advice and build the wing. Okay? You can have the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the 31 pro teams and, whatever else exists as far as pro football, the CFL or whatever else, the World Football League and the USFL, and then give the Steelers a building. You know what? Put it in Pittsburgh, okay? Leave Canton in Ohio and move the Steeler wing to Pittsburgh. Okay? Then no one will have a problem with all the Steelers that deserve to be there. L.C. Greenwood didn't get to see his enshrinement. He passed before that. Disgrace. Absolute disgrace. I mean, Donnie Shell, how long is he going to wait? I mean, it just goes on and on. Come on. But you know what? Bettis is finally getting his due. And it's not only well-deserved, it's about time. Okay? But, it's a great moment. It's going to be awesome. A lot of people are going to the enshrinement. And, of course, the enshrinement has changed a lot, too. Now it's at nighttime. It's indoors. Not as many people can go. Well, I guess a lot of people are going to go, but, it's monetized like everything else, And if, that's okay. I'm a capitalist. I'm an American. I get it. It's fine. It's just great that Bettis is going in. So there's a list of Steelers that are still waiting to get in, guys. So, get on your game. And with Bettis, he's saying thank you. He's taking the high road. I'm telling you, Canton, it's about time. Okay? Shame on you for not doing it earlier, but, very proud of the bus. It's time. It's due. Great job. So, speaking of the Steeler games, this weekend, of course, the preseason starts. And, again, I don't put much stock into preseason games. And it drives me crazy when I see fans going on about, oh my God, the Steelers lost this game. Guys, can we please stop with the whole, winning this game, losing this game mentality? It's practice, okay? Preseason games don't count in the standings. They don't count for anything. You know what they are? They're evaluations for your new players. They're to see your rookies and your walk-ons. Half the guys you see on the sidelines aren't going to be there week one. So it's just to see, it's an audition. Let's see how these guys do, with live snaps. And, full pad practice is one thing, but put them in a game situation and we'll see what they do. That's all a preseason game is. It's a scrimmage. It's a 60-minute scrimmage that's televised, and they sell tickets to it, and they make a fortune on it. So it's great. The fans get back in the seats, and they get to see some, football or, a very close simulation of football. A very close simulation of football. But it just drives me crazy. It's like, well, I just want to see the Steelers win a game or two on the scoreboard. Why? Why do you want to see that? Why does it matter? You know what I want to see every year? 0-4. I want to see 0-4 every year, and I want to see the Steelers go 12-4, 13-3 down the stretch. Not 16-0. And you know why? There's a ton of pressure. Then you have to win the Super Bowl if you're 16-0. But give me a 12-4 season every single year. Take the NFC games. I don't want that. They mean nothing. Okay? It doesn't matter. Preseason games are garbage. They're fun to watch. It's like, great, football's back, but stop putting so much stock into it. You don't want to see the Steelers win those games. Why would you want to do that? If you win those games, what are you doing? You've got to show your opposition some actual plays. And why would you do that? Now your coaches don't need Spygate. Now, you just gave it to them. Just watch the film. I mean, come on. Use your heads, guys. And girls. The games mean nothing. Okay? I want to see the Steelers mail in those 4 games. This year it'll be 5 games. And just, go out there and just run the plays. Run the plays and drop the ball at the 1-yard line and give it back to the opposition. Okay? This way no one's dancing like an idiot in the end zone. And you get to see, guys who are going to make the team. Or guys who aren't going to make the team. It's like, oh, well, we made a mistake with that guy. He's going to be either on the practice squad or not on the practice squad. And that's it. You see your guys, Roethlisberger's going to play, 1 full quarter in 4 games, a half of 1 game, maybe make a cameo in game 3 or something like that. That's not the reason you're there. Preseason is a tune-up. It's practice. It's just practice. So please, enough with all the emotion in these preseason games. It drives me nuts. I don't understand it, but it's okay. And we'll actually get to see Le'Veon Bell play in preseason, hopefully a little bit, because as we know, he's not going to be available for the first 2 games. He admitted himself he made a dumb mistake. He's a kid that, let's face it, We screw up once in a while. And you know what? For getting into trouble, smoking pot with that guy, I'm not even going to mention the other guy's name, the guy who I think New England planted in Pittsburgh and just walked off the field. And you know what? Oh, no, I'm not going to wish anything ill on the guy, but God, I really want to right now. But Le'Veon Bell will not be available for the first 2 games. And he's taking a suspension like a man. That's all you can ask of somebody. I screwed up. Here's some accountability. I'm sorry. I'm going to pay the price. And now, of course, what's the ultimate punishment? You've got to watch your team play, and you're on the sideline, and you can't help them. That's got to be the worst feeling in the world. Knowing that you made an avoidable mistake, and here you are now, you're watching the game from the sideline. You can't help your team in any way except be a cheerleader. And, all you can do is get back in there for week 3 and, start there. So you chafed folks in New England. You can certainly learn a lesson from this kid who's stepped up like a man and taken responsibility for his actions. That's right. He didn't fill a ball with air. He smoked pot, and he got caught. And I keep hearing the belly aching, well, pot should be legal already. Well, you know what? It's not in 48 states, okay? Or 47 states or whatever. And even if it was, he had a clause in his contract that said, don't smoke pot. I'm sure it had that in there. And, you've got to put that language in there now. Don't go to clubs and get shot. Don't do this, don't do that. Because you're 22 years old, you come out of college. I know you're a college graduate at this point, but you're not exactly the smartest kid in the world. I wasn't smart at 22. I was a moron at 22. I made a ton of mistakes that I wish I could take back. But you know what? Not really, because it shapes you as an adult. And as long as you don't murder somebody, you just learn from your mistakes and you move on. So it's okay. You just learn from your mistakes and you move on. But Bell won't be available. And as I said, people in New England, take a lesson. Stop crying about being caught for cheating after you got away with it for basically, 15 years since Belichick got there? I guess it's just a coincidence that as soon as Belichick got there, who was a marginal coach, those of you who remember him being a coach with Cleveland, do you remember that? Does anybody remember Coach Cowher just coaching circles around him in the 94 playoffs? Yeah. That guy was mediocre at best. Brilliant defensive coach for Parcells with the Giants. Marginal as a head coach. Genius. You're not a genius. You just learned how to cheat. And how is it a coincidence that for those 15 years that he's been in New England that they've never had a bad season? Can you name one season that they've had that was actually sub 500? What did they win? 12 or 13 division titles in 15 years? Been to 6 Super Bowls? You win 4 of them? Somehow the Giants just had his number. I love that about the Giants. Thank God for the Giants. Man, I didn't think I'd say that, but yeah. So all that success, and it's just what? It's organic? What, it's just this system that you have? No, I guess it's that you're spying on teams, and, obviously you're messing with the footballs, and God knows what else you did that you didn't get caught doing. God knows what else you guys did that we just didn't catch on to yet, that maybe we'll learn 20 years down the line. Oh, yeah, by the way, the Patriots also did this, and this. Well, nobody would be shocked at this point. Nobody would be shocked at this point. So, you finally get caught after 15 years, twice now in 15 years. The first one was swept under the carpet. And, Goodell just happened to destroy some tapes, I guess, as a favor to somebody, to his buddy Kraft. But with the whole Deflategate thing, they must have just figured, you know what? I'm sure 31 other owners basically, went to Goodell and said, you know something? You let this kid off the hook, or you let this guy off the hook, and they'll be held to pay. So I think it's just, and it's amazing that, Goodell, for the second year in a row now, is he showing, signs of actually developing a spine as a commissioner? Hard to believe. It's August. I'm looking for snow outside. But last year with the whole Ray Rice thing, suspended him for the season, wouldn't let him play, or however long it was a big suspension. Of course, yeah, Goodell had to be embarrassed first. And again, the whole entire world, TMZ and everybody else, had to bring it to him and say, oh, you didn't see this footage that the rest of the world saw? Well, let me show it to you. Let me embarrass you. Let me put you on the spot. He was put on the spot, and then, oh, yeah, then he did the right thing. I think that's what happened with the Patriots this year is I think enough people finally said, you know something? Enough is enough. If you're going to even pretend to be a commissioner and make 30, 40, $50 million, whatever you make annually, you better do something. We're sick of this. How long is this cheating going to go on? And I think finally, upholding that suspension, Tom Brady can't play for 4 games. You would think they assassinated somebody up in Massachusetts the way they're acting in New England. And it's like, you know what? Why don't you just enjoy the success you had? Why don't you just say, do like Le'Veon Bell did? Well, we had it really good for a really long time. And, cheat for as long as you can. But when you get caught, look, we're caught. That's it. Hey, we had a good run. They're not going to take back the championships. I would if I was commissioner. I would wipe all 4 of them clean. Well, we don't know how long you've been cheating. So you know what? You got a shroud of doubt here. Nobody takes these championships seriously anyway. So we're just going to expunge them, okay? We'll vacate them. Nobody won. Give it to their opposition, the Eagles and the Panthers and whoever else they beat to get to the those 4 championships. And that's it. But no, they got to go on, and Kraft gets on. Oh my God, this is an outrage. How dare they? Brady trying to keep a straight face and make like he knew nothing. Well, you destroyed a cell phone. There was obviously something on that phone that you didn't want people to see. That's usually what happens when people destroy equipment. Just like those tapes got destroyed back in 2007. Conveniently. You lost, a draft pick. Wow. That's what I would do. I would take away all 4 championships and say, they're vacated. Nobody won those games. They're inconclusive, okay? Replay them with different players. I don't know. But to see Goodell actually showing a sign of having a spine is amazing. Don't hold your breath, Steeler fans. He's not going to do anything for us. But I'm sure that was just a matter of, the culmination of a lot of pressure building up. And again, you get to the point of embarrassment, and now it's like, oh, I have to do something. I'll come clean now. I'll be the big hero. I'll come over the hill, and I'll come, with justice in my hands, and yeah, whatever. Sure. You're not exactly, I think the Steelers fans have been on to you for a while. And, here's the other side of it. Here's the fun part. As Steelers fans, we can just sit back, and every time Goodell screws somebody over, at least in their eyes, well, you know what? That's exactly what you asked for. Okay? Let's shoot back to 2011. Okay? Let's rewind it 4 years. Remember the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, that 31 teams just blindly signed? Which basically put Roger Goodell in absolute unchecked power. Okay? You're the hangman, judge, and jury. You get suspended, you want to appeal it? Who's going to hear it? Idiots. Absolute idiots. Amazingly, or not so amazingly, the only player rep to hold back and say, wait a minute, this is insanity. What are we doing here? We're going to give this guy unchecked power. And of course, who was that lone voice of reason? It was Ryan Clark of the Steelers, number 25. And why? Well, he had seen firsthand from just a couple of feet away a lot of things that he didn't like. James Harrison lays a clean hit on somebody twice in a game, and it adds up to 2 separate fines. Unbelievable. A couple of weeks later, who's the Buffalo quarterback? Fitzpatrick, whatever his name was. Before he even got to the quarterback, the referee had flag in hand, about to throw it. If Harrison gets near this guy, I'm throwing a flag. Okay, and what about the same year, 2010, right before the CBA came up? Ben Roethlisberger suspended 6 games, and then of course reduced to 4 for, I guess, good behavior or whatever. I guess the appeal brought it down to 4 games on a suspicion, on a rumor, on something he wasn't tried and found guilty for. He was suspended 4 games. Well, somebody said, okay, so you're going to give him 4 games on hearsay evidence. All right, and that's it. Anybody else is probably walking free. All right, Rice is, of course, the standalone shock. But, the Steelers had seen enough shenanigans out of this clown and said, why would we give this guy unchecked power? That's insane. And, of course, the player's rep at the time for the NFLPA, or I should say whatever he was, the head honcho of the head clown of the NFLPA, DeMaurice Smith. I guess he was asleep at the wheel or out to lunch for a couple of weeks or just was on a long nap. I don't know. Just, no idea what he was doing. Looked at the contract and said, I guess this is a great deal, guys. Yeah, you should sign this. Yeah, sure. Probably never looked up from his phone or anything. Just go ahead, guys. Yeah, sign it, whatever. So 31 teams blindly sign it like sheep. It goes through 31-1. Again, Ryan Clark being the only sane voice in that room as the Steelers rep. And it goes through 31-1. And, of course, now, the Steelers are the team that, they were the only ones not to ratify the CBA. Anything that happens to you 31 teams, you have it coming because you asked for it, okay? And, of course, the Steelers being the standalone there, they just continue to get hammered. The Harrison suspension for a late hit on Colt McCoy, who was a running back at the time, who was out of the pocket, and it was such an arbitrary, stupid suspension. Well, it's the third or fourth or fifth offense, and, it shouldn't have been a first offense. Harrison plays the way we want him to play. Hard, and he hits as hard as he possibly can. I mean, he's a throwback to the guy we heard at the top of the show who wants dresses on quarterbacks. And for good reason. Talk about insight. Talk about, looking in a crystal ball. That was 35 years ago that gentleman made that that statement that still today gets, it's printed on T-shirts, and it's, it's one of the best quotes I think ever. All right, here's the trivia question. It's preseason. We're going to have some fun. Who was that gentleman at the top of the show who said that all quarterbacks should wear dresses? All right, Howard Cosell fed in the line. Who was that gent? If you're a Steelers fan, you've probably heard of him. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you might know who that is, okay? Especially if you're my age or even within vicinity, or if you've even, heard of the Steelers. I think you know who this guy is. Here's a hint. He's actually in the Hall of Fame. He didn't have to wait. He went in first shot. Email me at lunatic@steelersinhoboken.com, and I'll send you, or I'll give you, a Steelers in Hoboken t-shirt, a 2015 edition. You can come by Texas, Arizona during the season and get it, or I'll be a mensch and I'll mail it to you, okay? I'll be a Catholic mensch. I'll mail it to you. But, Steelers season is right around the corner. The preseason being what it is, it's football. It's back. So I'm happy, okay? This is the first podcast. We're going to do this every week, and I promise you they'll get more polished. And this was just a matter of getting on the air, saying hello, and, hey, I'm in preseason form too. So it's, shake the rust of 6 months or 7 months and, just have some fun. So if you have any ideas, again, email me, lunatic@steelersinhoboken.com. Sign up for the mailing list if you're not on it. And just, we're going to have fun this year. Check out the Facebook page, Steelers in Hoboken Club. Okay, it's actually facebook.com/Steelers in Hoboken Club. And look for this on SoundCloud. There's a SoundCloud account. If you're listening to this, you obviously found it, so that's good. You can check it out on YouTube as well. This will be up on both. All right, so thanks for checking this out. We'll be doing this again next week. Same time, same everything. If you're in Hoboken, even if it's a Wednesday, right after work, check out Texas, Arizona for happy hour. Stop in, say hi. Hey, I'm a Steeler fan. I'll be here on Sundays. Make yourself at home. Check it out. 76 River Street in Hoboken, New Jersey. Right across from Hoboken Terminal. You can't miss it. So, hey, we'll do this again next week. Hall of Fame game coming up. Jerome Bettis in the Hall of Fame. It's about time. Once again, thanks for joining me. This is Ray Powers, your lunatic. Check out the Ray Powers Hour during the week. It's on Thursday nights on newvisionsradio.com. 8 o'clock your time, 5 o'clock Pacific if you happen to be on the West Coast. And you might be. We have fans all over the world, and we have people that come in. You don't have to live in Hoboken, New Jersey to be part of Steelers in Hoboken. That's the beauty of it. Our fans are everywhere. And as you know, as Steeler fans, we are everywhere. So All right. Talk to you guys next week. Have a great week.